Howdy folks, today Katie and I are going to take a look at some entry-level Nikons. Firstly, thanks for joining us.
Yay!
How have you been?
I'm so good and I'm so ready.
Excellent. I'll pop a playlist of some of the videos we've done together in the past. I think actually for some reason everything we've tested has been Nikon, but we've never used anything this little. You know, we're normally using these giant lenses, but today this is the kit we're going to be shooting with. The D3500 is Nikon's current entry-level DSLR. It actually came out towards the end of 2018, so it's getting old, but that tells you something about the state of Nikon's commitment to DSLRs. Still a very capable camera, and we're pairing it with the 18-55 kit lens. Both of these we got in the kit lens set from B&H Photo to compare. Great little camera, it has its limitations, but we'll show you what it can do. Then we're going to be comparing it to the Z30, which is also APS-C. It's also their entry-level model. It's about $150 more expensive than that one. Apparently that's a party foul. And this was actually released almost 4 years exactly after that one, in the second half of 2020. Now, whilst there's some obvious ergonomic differences and the fact that this is a DSLR, it has a mirror inside, this is mirrorless, there are a lot of similarities between them, and there's actually some ways that the Z30 is a downgrade from the D3500, at least on paper. So in this video, whilst you may not really be considering buying this one in 2023, I thought I'd show you what you get from the entry level in both systems at this point in time, and we'll give you a whole bunch of sample files that you can download as well. So let's wander the park and shoot some shots. Now, one thing I've always found frustrating about entry-level cameras with a built-in flash, pretty much you want to disable it until you want it, otherwise it just decides when it feels that it needs full flash. We chose this location because we've got kind of nice backlighting, so using my mirrorless here, we just kind of overexpose the shot a little, and I don't think this shot needs flash. Here when it's wanting to add it in, and I have to go back down because we're on this little guy. Yep, there we go. And the other thing to keep in mind is the mirrorless does have eye and face tracking. It's doing quite well for an entry-level camera, I'd say really well. DSLR just doesn't have that. So if you're trying to get it right on the face, you know, being a variable aperture, at the long end I'm at f5.6, so we've got a fair depth of field here. But I can see sometimes it's choosing the forehead, sometimes the nose, sometimes the cheek, not necessarily the eye. So you're going to want to go into something like 3D tracking or point focus, get that right on the eye to make sure you're getting the point you want. Whereas if you're doing portraits, the mirrorless does make that process a lot easier. Okay, so the eye detect isn't flawless. On a wide shot, it's not getting eye. Okay, some it is. It's all a bit inconsistent, to be honest. All right, just disabling the flash. We're in direct sunlight here, but it still wants to turn the flash on for me. This is cute. So I take it back, in live view there is a face detect. It's not too reliable or fast with autofocus though. I found it was missing a few, and then you're slowed down to this kind of a shooting speed. Looking up in this direction again. Now, kind of counterintuitive, as I said, an articulating screen, I'm a big fan of it, but when I'm shooting in a normal kind of position, I still prefer to have an EVF. So the fact that this doesn't give you that option, I guess I'm just so used to what we're filming on today, the Z9 having both options, that in this kind of a situation, I'm actually more comfortable shooting with the DSLR. I really noticed the limited focus points here. Yeah, you should definitely learn Korean. You're like a Korean drama actress. Have a seat. Now, it's hard to compare the lenses directly because the kit lenses that come with them are slightly different in specification. 18 to 55, 3.5 to 5.6 has been a staple in Nikon's kit range for so long. This is the latest generation one. It moves really nicely. It is really plasticky. You don't get a super shallow depth of field, but I have to say, as an all-in-one versatile lens to get started, Canon as well, they're a great option. So if you are thinking about it, yes, I would go for one, and then a lot of people are going to go for a 35 or a 50mm prime afterwards. But being that this is 18 to 55, 3.5 to 5.6, the new guy is a 16 to 50, so 2 mils wider but 5 mils shorter, and it's a 3.5 to 6.3, so it's actually a third of a stop slower despite being 5 mils shorter. That is going to impact the kind of bokeh you can get. So I'm going to compare both of them, longest at their widest settings, and then I brought along one of my favorite DSLR lenses to show you what these sensors are capable of when you put some Primo glass on them. So we're going to try and do pretty much the same frame on both. So can you just lean forward a little? That's lovely. Now, in terms of ports, the D3500 has a mini HDMI and a micro USB, not for charging. Moving over to the Z30, and you've got USB-C that does allow for charging, but it's downgraded to a micro HDMI. It does now add in a port for a microphone input, but note, being a camera that's designed for vlogging, there's no headphone input. Taking a look on the top though, you'll note the array of stereo microphone inputs or pickups, which is significantly more advanced than you got on the DSLR entry level. Now, in terms of batteries and cards, have to keep in mind these are the entry level models. Both of them are a single SD card slot, only supporting UHS 1, not UHS 2, for a camera released in 2022. That's kind of surprising. In terms of batteries, they're both using the tiniest batteries as well, the kind that you kind of find in the top of the point and shoot non-interchangeable cameras. The DSLR is using a 1230 milliamp hour with 8.9 watt hours of juice, whereas the new mirrorless, the Z30, it's actually smaller, which you mightn't expect. It's 1120 milliamp hours and 8.5 watt hours. Now, depending on how you're using the camera, there's a good chance you're going to get less shots with the mirrorless, being that you're going to be using the rear screen all the time. You do have the live view function on the DSLR, but in my experience, not that many people use them all of the time. Also keep in mind that the DSLR does have the option of a pop-up flash. And if you're using that, it's going to use extra juice, but you can't consider that a down point because this guy just doesn't have one. You need to buy an external flash for it. Now, in terms of sensors, the D3500 is rocking the tried and tested 24 megapixel sensor that had been around for quite some time, even before this camera came out. Whereas the Z30 is using a brand new 21 megapixel, still APS-C sensor, lower resolution, but it enables a lot of features, including the new video modes that this camera is capable of that the DSLR simply isn't able to do. Now, in terms of rear screens, they're both 3 inches. The DSLR is 941,000 dots, non-touchscreen and non-articulating. Really disappointing because it has this nice new graphical interface that the other DSLRs didn't have. It would be just perfect if you were able to touch to engage that. As I said, the Z30 is still 3 inches, but it's now 1,040,000 dots, and it is full touchscreen. And don't underestimate how useful an articulating screen is. It's not just for vloggers who want to see themselves. So handy when you're trying to get different vantage points and you're using the screen to do it. If I want to get a shot laying on the ground, I would literally need to do that with the DSLR because I can't use the live view and tilt the screen up. I need my eye at the viewfinder or at the screen. This guy, I can put the camera on the ground, just turn the screen up to myself and get the shot. And they simply don't add bulk to the cameras like they used to. This is so streamlined. Lots of manufacturers now are building them in a way that they're like seamless. And it does give you the ability actually to hide it and protect it when it's in your bag. So as someone who was such an old Luddite and didn't want to go to mirrorless, I'm all in on articulating screens these days. Okay, now the lens that I brought along to test with them is the venerable, the amazing, the incredible 105mm f1.4 E lens. You are able to control it on the D3500, and I've got the FTC adapter so we can also shoot it on the mirrorless. I was going to bring along something like my 51-2, but that's a Z mount, which means there's no way of mounting it onto the older F-mount DSLR. But you can see it kind of turns it into like a slice of bread with a potato on top in terms of the overall ergonomics, but there is still room in there even for a big chunky fist. So I'm going to need to go a little bit further back to get a decent frame here. I have to see how this is doing because the stabilization doesn't seem to hold up that well when you've got a big heavy lens like this, but gosh, there's something to be said for just obliterating the background like this. Pretty. I keep going to put my eye up to the viewfinder like a moron, but there isn't one. Now, something to keep in mind if you were contemplating getting one versus the other on these, if you're thinking of it as a second body to maybe your higher end camera, the mirrorless has two control dials, one on the front and one on the rear. So if you're in manual mode, for example, you can adjust your aperture and your shutter speed. Whereas the DSLR only has the rear command dial. So then you need to enable the secondary function by holding down a button. It's a little thing, but if you're so used to it on your other cameras, I do find myself missing it on this guy. Now, something you will definitely encounter shooting with one of these cameras, you've got really limited focus points and they're right in the middle. Now, just take a look at the back of my camera. If I go to live view, then you can see I can put the focus right out there. Much easier, but then it's this slow. But if I'm shooting with the viewfinder, I basically have focus points in this little area. So you have to focus and recompose, and the chance of missing the face when you're wide open is much, much higher. Now I can actually test this exact same lens on the Z30 using the FTC adapter, not something that I guess gets done a lot using kind of kit lenses on adapter, but hell, if you've got other lenses in F-mount that you want to use when you move to Z, why not? So here, it's the same experience of using the D3500. I autofocus and everything much more accurate, but then no added lag because it's not having to flip the mirror up, use that old-fashioned autofocus, flip it back down to take the photo. It's just all mirrorless. So you can see here we're not just vaguely getting the face in focus, we've got definite eye, and then I can select, do I want the left or right eye to be the point in focus. Now, one thing that you'll find on both these cameras, they don't have any kind of in-body image stabilization, including the new mirrorless. So shooting with a longer and heavy lens that's, you know, much heavier than the body, I'm finding my shots aren't as pin sharp as I would like them to be consistently. So I'm gonna go to put my minimum shutter speed up to like a 500th of a second rather than the 1/60th that it was going to. And it does mean my ISO is gonna be up, but it should increase my hit rate. So I'm just gonna go through and shoot each camera from ISO 400 up to their maximums and see what kind of results we're getting. Now, I have to expect the mirrorless is gonna do better. It's a 4 or 5 year newer sensor, so that just stands to reason. Okay, let's try on this guy. Now, reminder, I'll have sample files available that you can download for throughout the day. I'll put a link to that below. So I've got to say the interface on the D3500, it doesn't feel dated. The only thing is the lack of a touchscreen. But now being so heavily into Nikon Z personally, I'm so much more familiar with the menu system on these and find it's much easier and faster to navigate to things and to customize the camera. If you are in the Z system yourself, check out, I have a complete setup guide that runs through every camera in the system from the Z30 all the way up to the Z9, showing you what every control on the camera does, how to get the most of it in the field, how to customize it, set it up, and every single menu item, how and when and why you might want to use them. I'll put a link to that one below. So, entry-level shootout. My overall thoughts would be that they're both, honestly, I think fairly impressive for the money. $650 kit, $800 kit, thanks to B&H Photo, check them out below. Basically, the mirrorless does add a lot of new functions, new features, makes a lot of things easier, and the optics, I think, are definitely a step ahead. Really, the only reason I think to get the DSLR in this day and age is if you're on a really tight budget, or if you just really prefer the TTL experience. The fact that this doesn't have an EVF is a consideration as well, but if it were my money that I were plonking down, no question, I would go with the Z30. It ties in so nicely with the rest of the Z system. Thank you so much for today. Make sure that you guys download some sample files, and if you've been watching for a while, you would know anytime we have Katie in, the video has to end with a song. So let me give you my mic pack, and I believe we have a Blackpink rap today. This is like that. Do you watch Carpool Karaoke? Okay, there's one, do you know what it is? James Corden gets some big artists and he drives them around and they sing in the car.
I know that.
And he's like this nerdy, pudgy, old white guy with these young, cool people. So he did one with Adele where she did a Nicki Minaj rap. I feel like it's just like that, except that I can't afford a Range Rover. It's very exciting.
Blackpink, oh my God, bodies and realm, but rest in peace, please light up a candle. This is life of a vow, I'm maxed up, and I'm still Celine, designing crime, so it wouldn't be me. Diamond starting, driving, starting, so I don't mind it. I'm riding, flying, forever side by side with the pilot. I've been skydiving, I'm riding, starting on them, and there's no chance, cause we got bodies on bodies like this is slow dance. Thank you.